someone came onto our property and took my child.
New tonight on KGW News, hear from a Portland mother who chased down and punched a man, she says, who walked off with her toddler. Plus,
we lost someone who was the heart of our family.
What relatives of a man gunned down told his convicted killer, who, when given the chance, refused to take responsibility. Then, how police are planning for new protests in cities around our area tomorrow. And later,
never in a million years would I think that he would get attacked by a cougar.
How a hiker jumped in to save his dog out on the trail when he came face to face with a cougar. Welcome to the news, and we begin tonight with what you might call a heart-stopping moment in southeast Portland. That's where a mother says a stranger abducted her young daughter from outside their home and nearly got away with her. Catherine Cook's here. Catherine, it turns out mom went after the suspect.
Yeah, David, she says she punched the man before taking her daughter back. Now, the suspect is still out there, and police are asking for the public's help finding him.
It's all been very traumatic. I didn't sleep last night.
For Scotty Grimes.
And when I did, I just had nightmares.
Her worst nightmare came true Tuesday morning. It was just after 8 a.m. Scotty says for less than a minute, she left her 2-year-old daughter in her stroller outside her house on Southeast 50th and Harrison. But less than a minute is all it took.
Like someone came onto our property and took my child.
When Scotty came back outside, her daughter was gone. She says a man was pushing her daughter down the street about 2 houses away. She chased after him, punched the guy, and retrieved her daughter.
Like, you're going to mess around and find out, buddy. Like, I'm not the one.
That's one of the more amazing things about this, is that she was able to get up there and physically intervene. That's very dangerous, but certainly, as a parent, I think any of us would do the same thing.
Sergeant Kevin Allen says officers went door to door looking for security video of the incident.
We certainly want to find out who this person was.
Police dropped by Dr. Russell Mars's office next to Scotty's house.
Wish I was here to support her, but yeah, that's crazy, Haven't heard of anything like that. That's a new one for the area.
It's just kind of a shock to hear that happened.
Across the street, tattoo artist John Valley says he and his co-workers have been looking out for the suspect. Police described him as a white man in his 50s, about 6 feet tall. He was wearing a black beanie and a black medical mask, as well as a black zip-up sweatshirt and black jeans.
Hope they find him. Can't be having that.
Scotty is grateful her daughter is safe, but she can't stop thinking about what didn't happen.
What if I'd been like a minute or two too late? What if I didn't look up in time to see the stroller? What if?
Police are asking people who live or work near Southeast 50th and Harrison to check their security cameras. Anyone who captured something connected to the case, likely around 8 a.m. on Tuesday, is asked to contact Portland police. David.
Absolutely wild. Just glad mom and daughter are both okay. Thanks, Catherine. Well, to an emotional day in court where a man convicted of a murder outside a Portland strip club was sentenced to life in prison. Demarie Ramon Harris was convicted of killing 35-year-old Mario Camel Harris outside the Venue Gentlemen's Club last April. The two are not related, but today in court, both the judge and family members of the victim tried to get through to Harris about what he had done.
You was a coward. Why you couldn't just fight him one-on-one? Why you have to go get a gun? Did he talk about you? What did he do to you? That's what I want to know. What was the reason? You was a coward, and I ain't got nothing else to say to you.
I think you're a coward. I also think you're badly damaged. I think you're dangerous, and I think whenever you are released, you will still be dangerous.
Harris still claims he is innocent. He'll be eligible for parole in a little over 30 years. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, in East Portland, police have arrested a suspect in connection with a shooting outside a community center. 21-year-old Amir Christensen is accused of shooting a 41-year-old man near Southeast 106th and Stark last Wednesday. Court documents say the suspect threatened a minor at the center. She had called her dad to pick her up, and when he got there, Christensen opened fire on the car, hitting the dad several times. A passenger drove the dad to the hospital. This is where it gets kind of convoluted. Police say the passenger had an outstanding warrant that sparked a lockdown that evening in a different neighborhood. Police finally tracked down Christensen yesterday at a home in Northeast Portland. He is now charged with attempted murder. In the Park Rose neighborhood, 9 people have been arrested after police executed a search warrant at a home they say was filled with squatters. This was on Wednesday along Northeast 102nd. Investigators say they recovered meth, fentanyl, and an illegal gun. Charges against the 9 range from burglary to failure to appear to drug possession. Authorities say the homeowner is facing medical challenges and was no longer living there. They have now secured that home with the family's help. 2 suspects have been indicted by a grand jury for allegedly stealing from multiple Portland businesses. Surveillance video shows what happened in one case where thieves threw a safe, there it is, over the balcony of the Daily Planet restaurant before walking out with it. Police believe Jeremiah Morgan was one of the suspects involved. They also think he's part of a crime ring that targeted more than 100 businesses last summer. In a separate case, investigators say Tyler Long broke into Portland businesses by cutting through the wall of vacant spaces next door. Each suspect faces some 15 charges. And several rallies are planned tomorrow for International Workers' Day, also known as May Day. That includes at least 4 in Portland. This is video from past rallies and marches on a day where workers and activists gather to rally for labor rights and recognition. Police say none of the marches have permits, but say they will work to keep everyone safe. Similar May Day events are also planned in Beaverton, Gresham, Vancouver, and Salem, with more expected on Saturday. Okay, let's take you outside on this Wednesday night. Still a relatively mild 59 degrees right now in the Rose City after a day that was once again full of sunshine. Let's get right to Matt Sfino because, Matt, sounds like tomorrow is looking even better.
You know, it's going to be the warmest day of the year so far, eclipsing our previous warmest day of the year by about 3 degrees. That, by the way, was not in April. It was back in March when we hit 82. Look at the sunset we had tonight. Just some scattered high clouds from our reserve golf course sky cam. A fantastic view of the mainly clear sky as the sun sets on the month of April, right? And it set on a very warm month. Average temperature 56.4. That's the second warmest on record, only behind 2016. In terms of the high temperature, 67.1. That's the 4th warmest on record. And even the rainfall made the top 10 list of the lowest rainfall amounts for the month of April in Portland, with just barely over an inch of rain. It's about 35% of average. You know what? May is going to follow suit. We're not going to see much of a change in the warm, dry pattern. Today's high was 71. The record, though, is 90. That was back in 1998. That's the earliest occurrence of 90 degrees in Portland. Tomorrow's record is 89, so we're right there. We won't reach it, but look, we'll make it up to 85 degrees tomorrow, be 76 by noon. Last year, our first 85-degree day was on the 7th of May, so a little bit earlier this year. David?
Not many showers, but guess we've still got the flowers, so to speak. Thanks, Matt. Now to one discouraging sign for the American economy as businesses and consumers grapple with the impacts of President Trump's tariffs and the uncertainty that comes with them. The Commerce Department announcing the economy shrank 0.3% in the first quarter of this year. That's the first quarter of negative growth since early 2022. Experts saying one thing that contributed to the decline: companies that tried to beat the tariffs by rushing to import goods. This comes as the president hosted business leaders that have pledged to invest in the U.S. And while economists widely point to the tariffs as the reason behind the slowdown, the president pointed to his predecessor.
But this is Biden's economy because we took over on January 20th. And I think you have to get us a little bit of time to get moving. The entire Trump economic agenda is about making it easier to do business in America, to create jobs in America, to hire American workers, and to build your factories here in America.
During a cabinet meeting, the president added he is making deals with nations to avoid tariffs, but none have been finalized. Meanwhile, a vote in the Senate to block the president's tariffs today narrowly failed to pass. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden introducing this resolution, which aimed to end the president's national emergency declaration, the one the White House used to justify said tariffs. 3 Republicans voted with Democrats on the resolution, though 1 Democrat and 1 Republican did not show up for the vote. The vice president stepping in to break the tie. The measure was unlikely to make it through the GOP-controlled House, of course. The White House also said the president would have vetoed it. New at 11, more uncertainty around federal cuts with organizations that help victims of everything from sex trafficking to domestic violence now raising the alarm. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom. Alma, it sounds like some of these groups are now turning to the state for help.
Yeah, David, the groups I talked to say that their main focus is getting state lawmakers to pass 3 bills this session to help them maintain their current service levels.
across the state community programs from Safety Compass.
We are an anti-trafficking organization
to CARES Northwest.
We focus on children who are at the center of child abuse investigations.
To Portland's Raphael House.
We provide shelter for survivors who are escaping a domestic violence situation.
Now partnering together to keep their doors open and their services going.
The entire interpersonal violence victim and survivors sort of space is being deeply impacted by budget issues, funding cuts.
All of us are really approaching a funding cliff, if you will.
And they're spreading the word about what's at stake.
You're looking at when someone calls, nobody answers. When someone needs an emergency, placement to go to escape violence, there's nowhere for them to go. They have to be turned away.
Providers say the need in Oregon has increased, up last year on average around 30 to 50%.
It really feels like a perfect storm of funding challenges. And right now, as most of our organizations are serving more children and adults and families than ever before.
Some of the funding reductions they'd been planning for.
But it comes now under the umbrella now of many other federal curveballs.
To ensure emergency shelters are staffed, crisis lines stay open, and all these safety net services remain in place, they're urging state lawmakers to pass certain bills tied to their funding.
These are survivors of domestic and sexual violence. These are their children. These are survivors of abuse who are making a very courageous choice to trust the social service system. And we need to be there to be able to be an answer to their next step.
With those three bills up for consideration, each is in the Joint Committee on Ways and Means. The latest movement on one of those was earlier this month. All have yet to be voted on. David?
Yeah, interesting how folks are trying to adapt to all the uncertainty here. Thank you, Alma. To an update now from Central Oregon, where some homeless campers, many who've been living on national forest lands outside Bend for years, have less than an hour to leave or potentially face fines and jail time. We understand some packed up earlier today, but it's not clear if everyone is gone. Some told KGW's Kyla Boshi they have nowhere to go. The U.S. Forest Service says it needs to close the area for over a year in order to clean it up and do wildfire prevention work.